Hey everyone, Hamster Sales here with another Starcraft 2 commentary. This time we've got a TVT, my second TVT ever, which pretty much also means the second TVT I will have ever watched. It's taken me getting somebody to send me a replay from my YouTube channel to actually watch a TVT, but I'm excited. I'm going to take it as another learning opportunity about this matchup. I used to watch everything in Brood War. I think I said the last TVT I casted. I'm kind of repeating this, but yeah, I'm looking forward to learning a little something about TVT. I know next to nothing. Only information I have about Terran is about how to kill them with Zerg units. In the bottom right here on Shakur's Plateau, we have Skelator with the innovative spelling of that name. In the upper left, we have Erixdman as the green Terran. So that's good. I think I got the name of this map correct. Last time I think I called it something crazy like Zelnaga Grand Canyon or something equally retarded. So that is good that I got that right this time. And I actually don't know who sent me this replay. The StarCraft 2 name of this character was not in the character. I play too many RPGs. StarCraft 2 screen name of this player was not sent to me in the email, so it's a mystery to me who sent me this, as the two SCVs, I think, missed a vision of each other scouting, so they're not really going to know where they're going. But yeah, I know as little as you guys do. I have no hint to the winner of this game. I have received to date one replay of a game where the person who sent it to me lost, which is very cool. I've sent out a few replays. All of them were of me winning, and I've only casted maybe 3 or 4 games of myself losing. So it's pretty hard to do, but it can happen. You showing the unwashed masses a loss of yours in this great game of StarCraft. So both players going to get their SCV scouts into each other's bases before they get the wall off. Lately with Zerg, I actually don't scout until I get my first set of lings. Oh, and also, of course, this is TVT. I think you crazy Terran people don't always wall off against each other, if I remember correctly. But yeah, back to what I was saying. I don't usually scout until I get my first set of Zerglings. I usually don't really care about getting the super early scout, because this usually happens. You get your scouting worker killed by the first Marine before you really find anything out. I guess he did see the double gas. That's a nice little bit of information, but that I don't really consider worth it. I really like my little bit of extra minerals. And then that late Zergling scout does usually not make it until the wall is there. And by then you do still get some very good information. You know if they're expanding or not, and you can see the 2 racks generally, things like that. So I'm pretty comfortable with that as Zerg. But that is a huge sidetrack from this game at hand. Skeletor electing to get a factory after his first barracks, so we're likely going to see some Hellion harass, I imagine. Hellion harass is sure to be good in TVT. Marines, of course, light units, so they'll take that bonus damage. And Skeletor is going to wall off here, so he is trying to hide this tech of his. It looks like he is going for, hey, check this out, I know what this is. This is a 1-1-1 build. Get one of each of the first 3 production structures you can build as Terran. I guess it's actually all the production structures you can build as Terran. And yeah, it lets you build a lot of unique units. I know a lot of Protoss are crying Imba about this build at the moment. Zerg, you almost never see this. Usually stick to infantry and mech for most of, if not the whole game, except for medevacs for drop and for healing up those Imba stimmed Marines. But we are going to see a 1-1-1 build here from Skeletor. Going to switch over to the tech lab, so we're probably going to see Banshees. Very nicely timed there by Skeletor. Finish that Hellion and is immediately able to switch the starport over to the tech lab. And what kind of tech is he going to get? Saving up those minerals and gas. What's he getting? Am I missing it? No. What's he going for? Starting his first Banshee, so maybe just for Banshee production, this add-on. We do have a factory and tech lab down for Erixdman, so going for a much more standard tank build, I suppose. He's currently supply blocked, but I think I just heard a supply drop. I sure did. Check out my Terran knowledge. I think that's a supply dropped depot, right? Looks a little different than the normal ones. To me, anyway. Maybe I'm blind. I think that's a supply dropped depot. Yeah, look, it's different than that one. I am on top of my Terran knowledge tonight, folks. I'm feeling pretty energized. I just casted another game. It was a PVZ on Shattered Temple. Check that out if you haven't already. But it was an epic one. I felt a little drained, but then I got some chocolate ice cream I got some tea in me, and I feel much better now. Both these Terrans sticking on one base. Back to the game in hand. As you Terran people so often do, sometimes scared to expand, and you're so powerful off one base, so why get more bases? That's just more stuff to keep track of. Why complicate things? So Skeletor are going to be moving in with a Banshee here pretty soon at around the 7:30 mark. That is just about the time that those, let's call them tech units instead of cheesy units, arrive at your base. So around the 7:30 to 8-minute mark, this Banshee is coming in at a standard cheese timing. Erixdman not prepared for this like he might be prepared for mutas, even though mutas usually come a couple minutes later. But yeah, he's got a Erixdman has a Banshee of his own. I completely missed his Banshee tech, so we're gonna see virtually mirror builds here. I think they both went 1-1-1, not doubling up on any production structures yet. So I missed that. I apologize. Still very new to TVT, of course. Skeletor's Banshee being chased down by these Marines here. Got to be careful not to lose this Banshee. Taking down quite a few Marines, but gonna call that a good trade for Erix there. Did Skeletor take out the Banshee of his own? I assume he must have. This Viking probably did the deed. Yes, he did. Vikings pretty good against Banshees. Always like units that in a fight between two units, when one can't hit the other, usually going to win that fight. So Erixdman pushing out here with his 1-1-1 build. He elected to get some tanks. I don't know how many Skeletor. Yeah, only a couple tanks for Skeletor at this point. He might be thinking about expanding. Yeah, that looks like a command center to me. I know my Terran shit, people. Command center going down for Skeletor. We also have Erixdman doing a traditional expand, electing to build his CC at the natural because he is attacking behind this expo. Whereas Skeletor going for a little bit more of a conservative, build the CC inside the base, which is going to be good for him because this attack is coming. That command center not vulnerable, so that worked out well for both players. Eric's able to expand safely, while Skeletor also able to build his CC safely. So we have a bit of engagement going on here. Erixdman's Marines are pretty exposed. Yeah, taking tons of siege tank fire. These Vikings going to provide perfect vision for Skeletor, and siege tank's going to just completely wail on the opposing siege tanks from Erix. Eric's going to back off to a more defensive position. He is preventing the expo from going down now, so even though he lost the bulk of his force, there is a small victory in that he is denying resources to his opponent while he gets his own expo up, going to be able to turn that into an orbital command. Of course, Skeletor going to reap some benefits from having built his CC inside his base. He gets that orbital command, so twice as many mules for him. Yeah, great for you Terran players that you get to build extra mining bases inside your own bases and gain benefits from them. Not using the mule right away. I would have liked to have seen that. Maybe he doesn't know the siege tanks are set up over here. He doesn't have quite a vision on that. Oh no, the siege tanks took off. Okay, yeah. I wasn't I wasn't looking at his vision, so yeah, no, he knew that those units were damaged and had to back off. I must have missed him. Yeah, he set up the siege tank down here. I missed that at some point. Thinking I knew something about Terran versus Terran, I missed this siege tank advancement from Skeletor, able to clean up the light contain at his expo. Setting up defense of his own here, and both players are going into a 2-base TVT game. I hear that there can be things like siege lines in this matchup. I think we might see that. Both players still producing tanks. Tanks, of course, are great units. They're great against other tanks if you can shoot them without seeing them. Siege tanks have a longer range than they have vision. So vision is always super important in TVT, I imagine, just like it was in Brood War. Vikings, great spotters for Terrans. Didn't have that in the previous game. So, yeah, these are, of course, also going to be important. Medevacs you probably just want to keep with your Marines, but Vikings, it looks like these guys are just using them to spot opposing siege tanks, and they'll be able to take shots at Medevacs, so that will be helpful for Skeletor anyway, as he has no Medevacs of his own. Yeah, just continuing to produce Vikings off the reactor starport there. A couple of tech lab siege factories producing siege tanks non-stop for Skeletor there, or they was until he's producing these Hellions. Floating over a useless barracks, does not intend to build any more Marines apparently. Mech, I believe, could be a quite viable strategy against Terran, as you want to be able to kill those siege tanks with superior numbers of your own siege tanks. Great Terran insight, isn't it, folks? Siege tanks can kill siege tanks if you have more siege tanks. and you surprise those siege tanks by shooting them first. I'm so insightful, it boggles the mind. Eric's flying out with these 4 Vikings, maybe just for scouting, maybe trying to catch an inferior number of Vikings for his opponent. Yeah, that looked like that worked well. Free Viking kill there, took a little damage on his own, but yeah, free Viking kill. Figured he might have more Vikings, I guess, than his opponent, and was able to get a free kill. A sweet little move there by Erix. I wonder if you guys are smart enough to throw Vikings on the high ground here. Well, that wouldn't really matter. You probably have air units with your army at all time, so they could get spotted quite easily. Skeletor doing some scouting with his barracks that he obviously no longer intends to produce any more Marines with. Proxy barracks, it's not really going to be able to happen. Scouting Hellion completely destroyed by Erix before it got any information about his natural, besides the fact that there are enough siege tanks to destroy it very quickly. So this looks like what I imagine is a very standard TVT. I'm pretty excited. The last TVT, or the first TVT I watched ever / casted, ended up being a base trade on Antigua shipyards, and here we have what looks like I assume is a very standard TVT on Shakuris Plateau. We have a nice little hidden expansion going on for Skeletor here, so looks like he's taking an economic advantage. Also has a supply advantage currently. That's likely a holdover for his victory outside his natural from killing most of Eric's army. Eric's had a bit of an economic advantage right after that, though, and look, he has a pretty sick-looking army. I wonder if there's a significant worker advantage. There is. So, yeah, Skeletor getting caught off guard a little bit. Huge army being produced by Eric's. Probably going to want to back these siege tanks off. Maybe he doesn't quite know. Oh no, he just had a very sick position on these siege tanks, so able to get some free shots off on the opposing army. Eric's not sieging up yet, electing instead to take out these spotting Vikings. That's a pretty good move. Still has a superior number of Vikings, able to take out those guys, which are so valuable for spotting, looks like. Oh no, does not have a superior number. Killed by the reinforcing Vikings of Skeletor. So we do have this siege line situation set up here. Scans no doubt going to become quite useful when you no longer have need for minerals. I imagine that's probably a later game situation. But Skeletor grabbing the third base and has a much superior worker count. Erix, though, seeing this base with his medevac, yeah, now instead realizing there's a secret base here, decides to kill all the mining mules. Gonna probably force a lift here. There it is. Also reinforcing with superior army numbers. I think you're gonna see that primarily because he's at a 16 worker disadvantage. So all that supply is invested into army instead of workers. That's why Skeletor's army looking a little smaller by comparison. Superior coverage it looks like for Erix here with his siege line. Not a whole lot of vision for either player right now. Gonna need scans or some bold Viking forays into the opposing siege line to be able to see anything. Though currently no siege tanks within range of each other, I don't think. Yeah, nope. They're perfectly in a stalemate there. Skeletor able to harass his building expansion with blue flame Hellions, which will still take forever to kill this command center. But yeah, maybe Eric's doing a little bit of a favor for his opponent there, canceling that expo. I think he probably would have been able to clean that up because with how slow the blue flame Hellions were killing that. Getting tons of marine kills in the meantime, so that was a very effective use of blue flame Hellions against a Terran opponent. Able to cancel an expo and kill a bunch of marines. I think he even took out a siege tank there from friendly splash damage. I think I remember seeing that correctly. Anyway, Skeletor has a pretty brutal contain here. Yeah, low and high paths are completely blocked off. It would be pretty risky, but you know, you could see Erix do some kind of flank through here. No siege range, but that's difficult to know. Some kind of flank, it looks like it could be possible through that top route, as that's the only spot that's not covered by all oh no, it's covered by the top siege tank. So forget everything I just said. Probably a good idea when it comes to Terran versus Terran to disregard anything I say during this replay as far as strategy goes, but I will try to give you a good cast regardless. One sneaky route he could take is through these back rocks. Either player could probably get a lot of damage done were they to think of taking these back destructible rocks as a potential flanking route. So let's check out the production tab. Any new tech on the way? No, everybody just sticking to Vikings, tanks, and infantry upgrades anyway. No infantry actually on the way. Armory almost finished for Erix, so I don't know what he'd want to produce with that. Thor's might be decent tanks against tanks, ironically. Could take a bunch of siege tank shots, I imagine, and then advance behind that maybe. I don't know. I don't know if you guys build tanks in TVT. It might be a terrible, terrible unit. But we'll see what he's going to do with that armory. Maybe just vehicle upgrades. Yeah, looks like that's the case. A bunch of Vikings foraying in here. My word of the day. Eric's going to lose all these, it looks like, to a superior spread in Viking count from Skelator. Scans going out from both players to get that vision. No siege tank shots going off there. I don't think that was purely a Viking exchange, it looked like. Although I think Eric's had more siege tanks over here originally. So a few units dying. The siege lines are set. We'll see if either player wants to make a bold move. Oh! All the Marines loading up into these medevacs. Might be dropping directly onto the siege line. That could be pretty devastating. No Vikings here to support Skeletor's unit, so that could be very, very devastating. Here are the Vikings from Skeletor, so yeah, Eric's wisely unloading those Marines. That was a tense moment there. Could have seen some serious action, but both players getting good information about what was happening. Skeletor bringing the Vikings in for support, and Eric's electing not to do the suicidal drop, what would have been a suicidal drop given the Vikings. Oh, scouting barracks coming in here, getting some good vision, but being driven off by Vikings. Oh no, move command for Eric's Vikings, losing all of them as they advance forward to kill an errant Viking. That could have been a slick move by Skeletor. I didn't quite see it. May have gotten a single shot off, and then the AI from Erixdman's Vikings may have led them to their doom, because they were focused on that one Viking man, and they just got pulverized by Skeletor's Vikings sitting in this lower position, just completely sniped him. Erixdman, oh no, he's advancing into heavy, heavy siege tank fire. This is an extremely bold move. He is way down in supply, maybe just trying to make something happen, but turning out to be a horrible move, getting completely destroyed by Skeletor. Oh man, this would be me in TVT. I would be bored to tears by siege tank lines, but looks like the wrong move, man. He got completely obliterated when he advanced. He was, I think, extremely down in supply before that ill-fated attack began. But, oh no, this is all but over. Skeletor just going to rumble towards his opponent's base. Eric's going to feel the pain in 1 second here, I believe. But the Terran instincts of Skeletor tell him, don't rush in just yet, get a scout in. Eric knows it's over, however, calls the GG. So Skeletor able to get an economic advantage there. We saw a huge worker lead there. I don't know if Eric's was in the process of catching up or not, but yeah, I saw him take a huge economic advantage, and an ill-fated push by Eric's cost him the game, completely obliterated by the well-positioned siege line of Skeletor. Yeah, man, lots of explosions in a TVT. That's pretty cool. I loved watching that. Something very different, too. I liked watching and learning a little bit. It was cool to see the little Viking dance that you Terrans no doubt do all the time in your TVTs. So thanks for sending it to me, whichever player it was. Probably Skeletor, honestly, because he won. But thanks either way. I've got more replays to get to. I hope I can do 1 or 2 more tonight. And keep sending them if you're watching. Please send me more and more replays. I love casting other people's games. Definitely enjoy it more than my own. I'm going to switch over to primarily doing that. I'll still cast some of my own games occasionally. Especially if they're ever requested. If you ever want any kind of request for what you want me to do in my games, just leave a comment. I'll likely do it. I do take requests. And please comment, even if you just have something stupid to say. I love seeing comments from people that watch my videos. Upvote if you liked it. And thanks for watching.